I'm at the comic library. So, in starting with something, I can tell you something, a series of, well, a three-part continuation story series for the Trilogy universe. This time, I'm going to explain to you the timeline of the Tabic Trilogy. Now, let's go back to the beginning. In May of 1934, Cradle Number 1 was introduced by a couple of characters which you might know. In this time, you're introducing a bunch of characters that never seen before in any other way. It's because JB Comics had finally something to succeed by, and actually more so to see with people who ran the comic. And this time, because Jonathan Bryan actually helped them use Crazy Hole to be a success. In this time, Crazy World was into a classic era. This was introducing many characters left and right. I'll enjoy the adventures of many characters such as Mr. Calvin, Pickle Man, Tackle Man, Orange Man, Clean Man, Wolf Guy, and of course, later, and of course, not forgetting, Frog Guy, Mr. Strange, Mr. Gerald, and many others. The villains actually fought were Terrible, Grumpus, Frostman, and of course, not forget, Koraf and Rockton. Eventually, they joined forces together, and many of them actually did return, but this sort of slowed down during the 50s, mainly due to World War II being over and after the Depression. It's because of that the 50s decided to make another new waves of characters. Rather centering into another to revise the Crazy World universe. This stopped in the early 1964 and eventually led to the Shadow Saga, which where Crazy World 1 had taken place. Here, many characters will either one-time appearances or just characters that show up maybe a few times and never again.
Okay, this is because
after a few years of multiple characters in this era, it sort of slowly just be the beast against the Shadow Man, but eventually end up being Clean Man at the end. Let's introduce a reboot into the Advance era. And of course, into this era, many of the characters that haven't been used in a while have returned. And of course, many things have changed for the characters until the alien invasion. This was introduced in Crazy World 2 and 3, and after that, Crazy World characters joined other comic books, mainly just one-time stories. Just like in the classic era. But unlike the classic era, these one-time stories are very reasonable, short, and many of the writers and artists were just at times were just the only writer and artist at the time. When this happened, many things start to change. We're introduced to a character name, of course, by the name of Steven, who also got the name Tabic. This cameo appearance led to creation of a trilogy of a lifetime. This fame lasted till the rest of the 80s and into the 90s, and somewhere around the way, it started to slowly started to change. No, and it was, and then that's why he introduced more new characters such as Dragonwing and Tina and Mr. Calvin having a son. But then it started to continue on, and it started ended right till the setup of Ultimate Mix. Right until the end of the 2000s and into the 2010s. Then characters during this time were introduced right away, and that's why you started to see a few more new characters during the Ultimate Mix. And then after that happened, characters left and right started returning. This happened during the time of the Conquest era, right after the continuation and of course revival era. Many characters at the time were starting to change their ways, but nowadays they're back doing one-time stories until the drop of another continuation story, which was another reboot of the two Predators, and it's sort of slipped up from there. Anyways, that is the history of the Tabic Trilogy from the beginning of Crazy World all the way until what's going on now, what continuing stories is happening now. That is it for now. Goodbye.